time is now 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please say your allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Tom Sinkowitz.
Here.
Gary Stalboy.
Here.
Amy Norman. Don Cavella.
Here.
Linda Fedora.
Here.
Adrian Ferrari.
Here.
Ted Demain.
Here.
Keith Sear. First order of business is review and acceptance of the minutes from the previous meeting. I would like to make a note of one immediate correction. It's on paragraph B, about fourth line up from the bottom of that. It said Gary asked about the Evans building. It should be evidence. Any other corrections that need to be made?
Yeah, actually on new business, paragraph A, I think I asked about the pension and the Board of Ed. Has done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
Any other corrections that need to be made? If not, I will ask for a motion that we accept the minutes from the February 13th meeting.
I'll make that
Mention
motion.
corrections.
With the mentioned corrections.
I'll second it.
All right, motion has been made by Tom Sinkowitz and seconded by Gary Stalboy. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by raising your hand. All right, all those opposed? Abstention? We have one abstention. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, under old business, last meeting we just began discussions about salaries for non-union employees. I would like to just mention that last year the cumulative salaries were $727,407.54. The difference this year with the proposed budget would be an increase of $42,943.81, bringing that line in the new budget to $770,331.35. So do we have any additional comments that would like to be made at this time?
Is that number non-union or?
That's just non-union.
Non-union.
Just non-union.
How many people involved in that?
Let me think here. Correct me if I'm wrong, 14?
I don't know the numbers you added up, so I don't know.
It's about 13 or 14 people.
So when we talk about an increase, is that for everyone across the board, or is that like saying, hey, you know, we're going to approve an increase, but then it's managed by someone, or is it automatically just?
That was for the non-union employees, basically.
Like a percentage.
The percentage was 3% for all non-union employees.
They're all getting the same percentage, is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Yes.
Just one thing I'd like to clarify. So, Kevin, with your proposed budget that you've given to us, you had already for non-union salary employees, you had already incorporated an increase in.
Yes, everything that's in there shows you the percentages.
Right.
You'll note, and I will mention this if you take a look at recreation. There are two members of the recreation department which didn't get those extra bumps last year that I said I would catch up this year. Those are the only two. Everybody else as is.
I just wanted to clarify that, just because knowing that there are some increases in the proposed budget as of now. Everything, of course, and where we're at in the budget season is still subject to change.
Right.
But me personally, I mean, in going forward, like in the budget process, I mean, I'm comfortable with the ones that Kevin has already worked and proposed for us for the time being. That doesn't mean that they're set in stone. But I personally want to hear from some of the department heads and, of course, Board of Ed and police, because I think it gives us the opportunity to also talk to those department heads about how they figured out, how the salary should be distributed, because we haven't heard that yet.
Right.
And I think we really should before we should maybe entertain suggesting any changes.
Well, I think part of what we're trying to accomplish is last year we waited till the end of the budget process to start this discussion. And rather than wait till the end, it makes more sense to have it at the beginning so that we have an understanding of things that are going to be potential increases. Like you said, they're not locked in stone, they're part of the proposed budget. But by discussing it now, it takes that element of
Last minute trying to fit
for
it
lack of a
in.
better
I
term.
get that.
All right, any other questions or comments or the board would like to make? We're not looking for a motion at this time, we're just having a discussion. We wanted to separate this from the other part of it, because it was started last month.
I know at this point, I agree with Tom as far as the way it's laid out in the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it.
Is there an amount that we're talking about, or do we not know? Is that what we're trying to entertain now?
Well, we're looking at if this passes with those increases, the increase in salaries for the non-union employees would come to a total of $42,000. And that covers 13 or 14 individuals.
It's actually maybe 10. I think it might be just 10.
Okay.
Like I just go over them really quickly so you know what they are, so you can highlight them. Take a look on selectmen. You've got selectmen, 2 other selectmen, and the other line underneath, which is salaries. That's the administrative assistant. So there's 4 there. You've got finance department head. That's number 5. I don't know if you want to include, it says election/registrar of voters, so those are 2 other,
We have tax collector, town clerk.
yeah, they're not in a union, so. Tax collector and town clerk. There's one which is not in union, but also, take a look under police, administrative assistant there. Not in union, but has a contract with the chief. Other than that, recreation. So those 3 people, the top 3 in that list are not in union. Department head, pool coordinator, recreation assistant. I think that's about it.
Program coordinator.
Oh, further down.
Right there.
That should be your full list.
What was that?
The rec coordinator?
It is called a program coordinator. Program coordinator in recreation, 4 lines down. 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 5. Oh, I see. Yeah, 5.
This should give you a better idea of percentages and also for grand totals.
And that increase is above the 3% that we're seeing on here now? Or is that?
No.
Oh, so only 2 people that I mentioned before, that there was 2 people within the recreation department who should have been included last year.
Yeah.
So that's why those 2 people were 6% this year requested.
Okay.
And the rest, everybody else is across the board, about 3%, unless you go to, like I said, the administrative assistant for the police is listed at 4, but that's within a contract. It's kind of a weird situation.
All right, any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to new business. And the first item is review of the financial report from the Board of Ed. I do have a couple of questions. And I wonder, sir, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the whole board, because we do have some new members that haven't been able to attend.
We're opening remarks. Good evening, John Richards. I am the business manager for Plainfield Public Schools.
First question that I have is, you received 2 new grants above the original 13. Can you tell me where those grants were applied? I believe they are McKinney-Vento.
I don't understand your question.
All right, at our last report, you had 13 grants that were approved. Since then, 2 more grants have been approved.
In the statement made last month, it said that there were 4 grants that were under application.
Right.
2 were approved, which are these 2. And
Okay.
2 were not approved. So
Right.
right now I have no pending, but I do have 15 approved grants.
Right, so the 2 that were new, that were approved, was the McKinney-Vento homeless assistant, that's 17,000. Can you tell me how that was kind of applied? What is that directed to, I guess? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
I don't know that either of the
Okay.
grants has yet been applied because we just received them.
Okay.
So I can give a follow-up
All right.
after the meeting. I don't have any detail to share tonight.
All right.
Do you work with the town's grant writer?
I don't. The grants that are written are typically done by the assistant superintendent or the PPS coordinator.
The other question I have is on the second page. It says, let me read the line. It says, the fiscal year 23-24 proposed budget was presented to BOE at its regular meeting on Wednesday, February 8th. It will be an agenda item tonight with BOE's addition of more comprehensive summer school for $65,000. The revised proposal is now at plus 3.62 over this year's budget. Anticipated revenue increases make the proposal of 2.03 to taxpayers. My question is, the anticipated revenue increases, what is the source?
The education cost sharing grant that's been flat for the last 2 years at like 14.9 million is increased by, I believe it was 374,000. I'm talking a little bit without having education cost share that the state provides. The town of Plainfield is increased. I believe it was, I hope I said it correctly, 374,000.
Okay.
And I believe that there's a slight increase in the number of students that attend Plainfield High School from Sterling year over year. So with those increases in the revenue, if you could picture our summary sheet, we've got the expenses on the top 2/3, and then down at the bottom we show revenue sources.
Right.
As you move across, you'll see that the 2 increases in revenue help to offset what the board would have been asking for even without the $65,000. And we calculate a percentage of 2% of the community. We're trying to reflect that there is, last year, no help from the state.
Right.
This year, there was proposed help from the state, and that helps ease the burden on the taxpayer.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
On your statement there, I guess the ECS is 14,990,000 and some change?
For this year, that's correct.
Okay. But in our budget statement, we just went over, it's actually 15,340,047?
Proposed for next year,
No, this is current year. This is current year.
something that I produced.
I'm just looking at the 2 numbers, that's all I'm looking at. So it had to been approved at 15 million, Kelly?
Yeah, that's the budget that was approved by taxpayer dollars. At that
Last
time, the
spring.
school assumed assumed that they were gonna get 15.3 million. We didn't get that, but that's the number we use in the approved budget for current year, 15.3. So there's not an increase in revenue, we're just maintaining. Because we already booked 15.3 in the current year budget.
So on the BOE's statement, that should be 15 million. On this sheet here, it should be 15 million versus the 14,990.
15,340,047, that's what was approved by taxpayers, yes.
Confused. So in reality, the 300 and some thousand is not going to those items that you were talking about, Dean?
I think you'd say it the other way. If I back it down to the 14.9. What you're saying is that my percentage to the taxpayers may be incorrect if I should have reflected 15,370 at this year.
That's something, yeah.
That's a fair kind of, I'm going by the exhibit that I inherited.
Right, oh yeah, no, I realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I can share that budget.
I have another question on page 6. Towards the bottom, where the line of capital improvement, we're now showing an over expenditure of 23,000. Offset for that? Is that it? On page 6, I believe it is.
I'm going to be a wise guy. The bottom line total of remaining unencumbered is 3.5 million. So the short answer is that we will move money between fund transfers to take care of that. I couldn't tell you what the specific transfer would be tonight. It's not been posed to the Board of Ed or approved.
Okay.
But that was, I believe it's in the discussion on page 2. It was for a tractor to be ready for the snow that didn't come. But darn it, we're prepared. And quite honestly, about a third of that was for snow removal equipment for that tractor. So, other than the snowstorm we didn't get last night in northwest Connecticut, picked up,
They got our share.
Right, we'd have been ready if we were there.
Okay.
We were ready if we were here, but that's, the point was, it was a very old tractor, and that was a decision to get it in before the snow season. It doesn't do any good to buy it.
Yeah.
At this point, it's
Okay, I see that now, thank you.
I had a question on the athletic salaries. You still have a balance of 103K, almost 104. Does that need to get caught up, or? Because there's not much left for, huh?
I believe that's paid out.
I think those are for stipends that are done, and they're done by sports season. So we're probably current through winter sports season,
okay.
but our spring, we haven't executed those stipends for the spring.
No.
And again, if there's something that I'm saying tonight that isn't budgeted up, I'll let you know. That's my understanding.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion that we accept this report from the DOE. presented.
I'll make a motion that we accept the BOE.
Okay. Motion is made by Adrian to accept the presentation presented by the BOE. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Gary seconds. All those in favor, signify by raising their right hand. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, the next item of business is to review the town's financial reports. I have a couple of questions on page 1. The first one, and it may have been answered last month, but I apologize if I'm asking any questions. Under investment, what are we attributing that to?
Increase in interest rates.
What?
Increase in interest rates.
Okay.
On the Feds. So the interest rates
Quite a healthy return.
were- It is, yeah.
Feds keep on moving it.
Yeah, it's going to move up again, I think,
Every time the Feds
2025.
move that number, we get more money.
Have you got anything from police other duty yet?
No, I looked at it today, and I want to say we have revenue of now about 140,000 as of today.
But you don't have it in hand, basically. They still have it?
No, I have the checks that were applied to that account.
Oh, okay.
I do have those, yes.
About 140K?
Yes.
Do we have any other questions on the first page? Do we have any questions on page 2?
$600 going to be enough for your for supplies and that?
Yeah.
On the assessor's office, there's a lot of balance left in several of the line items. Do you expect some of that to be used up?
I think,
So those will end up being underrun.
You never know what you're going to get for appraisals, but yes.
she might have to do some property boards, I think, due to.
Any other questions on page 3? All right. Oh, I'm sorry, that was page 2. Any questions on page 3?
We're gonna go right on utilities for the highway? No, you do, I'm sorry, records.
We're monitoring that. It looks like it's going to be, might come back to you with a line item transfer request.
Yeah, I think so.
How many people employed in the buildings and grounds salaries?
You're talking about the full union contract. You've got a buildings and ground lead, you've got a buildings and grounds, you've got a nighttime custodian or evening custodian. That's
I'm
3.
talking about item 106102-22, which says salaries at $155,000.
There's 3.
So it's 3.
3 full-timers?
3 full-time people, yeah.
3 full-time.
3 full-time people, yeah.
Is that evenly spaced?
Close.
All 3 get the same?
No,
No.
no, they're close
There's
though.
like a lead and then 2. So the lead gets 1 salary and the other 2 get the same salary.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 3? I'm assuming we'll have underruns on sand and gravel and overtime.
Yes, anticipated at this point.
At
Don't
this
jinx
point.
it, please.
Any questions on page 4? I have one under the fire marshal's salaries. We still have a lot left under salaries. Is that, I'm assuming that's a part-time position?
If you remember, when we have a situation with a fire and you have to have another person there, we contracted a few years ago to have an alternate person. We haven't used that individual that much, so that's why you have a lot of extra there.
Any other questions on page? All right, move on to page 5. Any other questions here? I have one on the rec program. It seems like we're overspent already, and we have several months left. What do we attribute that to?
I think it's for a vendor, probably doing a program for recreation, so I'll look at that.
I have one on as far as the coordinator's position, which
Yep.
is just under the pool operation.
Pool coordinator, yep.
Yeah, looks like their salary is a little ahead of everybody else. It's about 72% versus 67.
Yeah. So she's 32.75, and the other ones are like 32.3, correct? Is that what
It's,
the
that one's
percentages?
27.11,
Uh-huh.
and going by the same rate everybody else, it should have been like 24,102 versus 26K and some change.
But they all have different rates.
Right, but still the same percentages.
She may not have been here for a couple of days. If we're not,
Yeah, I'll look.
we'll look at it for you if you want.
Any other questions on page 5? Page 6. What is the latest on the sound system? Do we have an update on that?
I've got, right now I have one manual search, and we have some bits and pieces we'd like to put together as a number for what we can put in. We have a second one, which is from an outside company out of the state, and I've got a third one, which is starting their evaluation of what we're requesting now. So once I get all three, we'll put those together to bring them forward. So it's processing.
35,000 that went towards outdoor restroom, what was that going to?
That's the Lions Park.
Yeah, but I mean, what was the, what specifically, like service, or, it wasn't construction?
Construction, building, tie-ins to the sewer, water.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Page 6. Go on to page 7. On the capital expenses, projects that still have 100% left over, I wonder if you could just give us a brief update as to where we are with those.
We've been working with our rec director on both of those projects, and he's supposed to be coming back with what he plans on doing with that soon.
Road construction hasn't been used yet. That is going to be for the Dow Road Bridge. We'll use a portion for that. The MRS municipal, we plan on using that for road paving soon. Paving of the roads. We're going to be using that.
What's the salary soldier?
That's usually for purchase of the flags.
I thought we had
Salary?
Yeah, federal line item.
Yeah, I know you have Memorial Day, but I think Salary Soldiers also does a lot of those purchases. You have flags that are being placed up on top of the flag of telephone poles, but you've also got the flags that are being placed at the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And I hate to tell you what the prices are this year.
Okay.
They've quadrupled. Yeah, it's really bad,
That'll do it.
and that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
The status of the IT upgrades?
As we're finding issues and circumstances that are coming up, we are applying those towards the upgrades for the firewalls and other things. Purchase of, we had in there the purchase of some of the materials that we needed.
This is more security and backup system?
Most of it, yeah. There is some hardware involved in that, though. And I know you always ask this one, so I'll just jump to it. The Town Hall garage, that is, we had money that was available right now. We were going out with asking for 3 companies at least to give us an idea for the staircase going up to the top for storage. So we got a quote back today, a little high, and we're waiting for 2 more quotes to come back, just to get an idea.
Is pool and locker, does that look like it's going to be happening very soon?
Those are the 2 I was talking about before. Yeah, with giving more information, we'd like to get more information from our rec director, and we've been asking him. So. I think if you're taking a look at the community center, that one there, that was a lot of the issues with the HVAC. So pricing those out at this point, we may be good, well underneath that, so we'll see. I think on the pool and locker, they were talking about 2 issues that I know of. One was the men's room side. They wanted to have a enclosed area for the younger kids. For anybody who knows downstairs, you tell me where you want to put that, because there's not a lot of room. So we're still trying to configure that right now. That's one of the issues, and yeah, that was one of the bigger things at this point.
I can't remember, the Down Road Bridge, that 115, that's the engineering part of it?
Yes, there's a label for the engineering for that, yes. So you've got those 3 together, Shepherd Hill, Lathrop Road, Dow Road Bridge, those are all engineering.
Okay, those are the sidewalks and the bridge.
Yes. You know, this backstory to Dow Road Bridge was we had planned to have that going. We had a town meeting on it. Then there was a delay based on costs, COVID-19. And when we're all done, ready to go, then we asked, let's have an update and see what the numbers are. And we were shocked to hear the numbers because they've gone up quite a bit. We were looking for support from Joe Courtney. We were looking for alternate ways. We did have a meeting and found alternate methodologies to get the money from what we currently have. So we're trying to work on that right now. That's what was mentioned earlier about Dow Road Bridge monies being used for that. So if everything goes well, you'll see at least the 2 sidewalk projects start in the spring, and Dow Road hopefully at the same time. We keep on asking about working on getting it done as soon as possible. Because Dow Road Bridge, by the way, will cause not the one-way traffic at a time. We're going to close the road off to make it much quicker. Otherwise, you're almost a year by doing closing off one side or the other.
Now, in the police evidence building, I met with the chief the other day. I texted you about maybe doing some test pits up there in case you hit ledge, you know. Do call before you dig and pop a couple holes, see, be sure there's no stone there. So, it won't hurt.
Any other questions?
You don't foresee having to do any line item transfers in the next few months, or you guessing that would be all towards the end of?
Yeah, towards the end. I mean, you heard tonight there was maybe 2 smaller ones. I think that might be it. It might be 3, but they'll be small. Yeah. We'll keep an eye on them and let you know what we think as we go.
Any other questions? have a little, like you said, a few little minor line item transfers toward the end.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention. I think I've mentioned it to you already, and I don't want to step on your toes. I just wanted to let people know. If you take a look at the first page of the current budget, I think it might be worthwhile to take a quick look. I am not going to come back and ask you for money, but I'm just letting you know that the fund balance is much healthier, as you note. There's about 600, to date. You never know what you're going to get from the state again. They can always short you on one thing or the other. But if things stay the way they are right now, we anticipate an extra, right now, it's $680,000 more. That's why it was mentioned before, well, what's your reserve? Your reserve was at one point 15%. And now it's looking more like along the lines of 20 plus. But again, I don't want to come back to you and say I need money, or this is what we want to use it for, because that's a fund balance. You never know what's going to happen in the future. So I just wanted you to recognize the fact that there is more money's coming in, and I want to acknowledge those people and where they're coming from. Your building permits are doing very well. Your tax collection rate is doing very well. So those are the people to thank, because it's just doing much better at this point. And you never know when you might need it next year.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just to go along with that, we had reported at the last meeting that the students that come from Sterling, Plainfield High School there's been more of them than we had planned, and we had discussed the fact that those funds, especially for those that are designated, there are 78 students that come from Sterling, and 17 of them are special ed. We assess a premium on top of the base student rate for special ed because there are additional services based on the evaluation that's done with the families. Town of Sterling's there, and our PBS department. Those funds, when they are billed, and we do a bill every other month for a quarter. It's kind of a crazy agreement, but they take the pulse of the student base 4 times and then annualize it, divide by 4, and that's our quarterly piece. The special ed funds that are assessed come to the town, and we're providing the services, so that's the only thing that we may come back to the Board of Finance on, is to try to discuss how that could be put into an account for special education purposes. In other words, it's Sterling dollars for Sterling students, and it's winding up in the fund balance.
I dare cost on that?
The total dollars that may have been part of that. I think I'd want to do the calculation again, but there's been one student that was identified as high need this quarter, and we're backing them up to the beginning of the year, and that'd be $15,000. It's probably around $35,000 to $40,000 for each of the quarterly billings, to which the third one hasn't gone out yet, but it's been prepared. And the other assessments on 4-1. They do 10-1, 12-1, 2-1, 4-1, and so, but we bill a quarter of that annually, whatever that annual rate would have been divided by 4.
So you get that money, Kelly, correct?
Yeah,
Then
so
you will
at the end
transfer
of
it over?
No, so at the end of the audit every year, say I budgeted $5, I get $10. So then $5 would go, absorb if you didn't receive any other revenues that you budgeted, or it would absorb overrun in expenditures. So it all gets netted together, and then it goes to the fund balance. So this is one of the odd years that it's happening, because usually we don't get that. Over the years, we don't get that extra money. So this will be the one year maybe we do get extra money in that line item. I haven't seen it in the past, no.
Okay. This time I entertain a motion that we accept the town financial report.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Kevin May to accept the town financial report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Don Cabella. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we're going to begin some preliminary discussions about the budgets for the BOE and the town. We're not making any decisions about any of the budgets, but we want to begin the conversation. So I will open the floor to the board members to whatever comments or insights that they want to provide at this time.
Well, I think most members got my work as far as copies of my proposed cuts. Because I won't be here for the April meetings. So I just want to let everybody know where I was heading to. So. Any questions, feel free.
One of the things that I would like to say at the outset, it is a long and arduous process. But as we take a look at these budgets that are presented to us, we need to understand our full responsibility to the residents of this town. As a whole, we're looking at a $50 million budget, which represents a significant increase from last year. With revals coming in, most people have seen the property values go up, which means we have to do something with the mill rate. So we have to be mindful of the impact of our decisions to the residents of our town. One of the things that I would encourage each one of you to do is to take a look at the budget and look at your reval and look at your current mill rate. All right? And then take a look at the budget and the proposed mill rate and see how that impacts you. I think that there's some opportunities for us to be vigilant, to be listening to the residents of the town and what their thoughts are, because it is a very big responsibility on our shoulders to do what is in the best interest of the total residents of this town. With that being said, I would like to open it up to any comments from any board members that would like to.
Well, I had Kelly work up what the mill rate would be with the current budget, with the new reval. You have it with there? Or? No? Like, 20, you can't go by the 2803.
No.
So it'd be 20.36.
What is it?
20, in the current year, with the new reval, the mill rate would be 20.36. And with the current budget, it's a 21.29. So it's just under a mill increase.
Kevin, what's the percentage increase on your budget? Total budget? 5%? How about the school department?
Ours is 3.62. However, I would note we actually have more revenue coming in because we're up in Sterling students. So if you look at the revenue offset, it's actually under 3. It's, John, you know offhand? I'm not sure I understand that, but it's 3.62 is the overall spending increase.
362?
3.62.
Thank you.
So what you're saying is that officially it's 3.62, but with the increased revenue from Sterling students, it's probably, I'm saying probably around 3.
It's under 3.
Under 3,
Yes.
okay.
Any other thoughts, questions, or comments?
This, for the Board of Ed, has this been passed?
Did you already learn yours?
Yes,
The
it's
Board of Ed has
passed.
passed on this?
Yes.
And the Board of Selectmen has passed on your budget?
Yes.
We've got some work to do, fellas.
I did mine.
Yes, you did.
I'll be by the pool.
I checked mine already. It's the map, I got the map right, not myself, I'm gonna go up, about $530.
Taxes. And that's if the budget that's in front of us,
As it stays?
No, this 21, 29.
Yeah.
21.29.
Yeah, it would be
Your taxes would go up $500?
over 500.
Any other thoughts?
And we will hear it from the department heads.
Yes. In your town binder has a complete schedule, so we will be meeting, we will have one meeting with the Board of Ed, we'll have another meeting with the police department, and then we will have another meeting with all the department heads, so that we can listen to their presentations. One of the things that I think that I would, and I'd like some feedback from the group, is that when we meet with the department heads, I think I'd like to start with the smallest budget to the largest and work our way up. Kind of like what we did last year. Because some people would be here, and we'd be waiting an hour to make their case, and, you know, the larger budgets have more to say. So, I mean, that's just my personal thoughts.
How much time do you anticipate we'll need?
I would imagine we'll probably need at least an hour, at least maybe an hour and a half. Because some of the departments, let's see if I can do it. Registrars, they're not going to have a whole lot to tell us other than they have a few little expenses and they have some elections and election workers, so it's not really fair for them to be here an hour and a half for
I have
5
an issue
minutes.
with that.
What?
I have an issue with that.
You have an issue with it? Okay, well, yeah. We'll get to those.
Tom, I think, knows.
Any other thoughts or questions?
Yeah, that's fine, I think, if you want to go in that order, so the short ones.
Yeah.
Then get up front, and be done, and then more time to get to it.
Besides, the PD be out of the way.
Yeah.
That's a big one, so.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts about the budgets and the budget process? All right, if not, I will open up the floor to citizens' participation. If there's anybody that has something that they would like to ask the board, or they have something that they would like to share, I would ask you please come to the mic, identify yourself, and let us know if you're a resident of town. Okay. If there is no one that wishes to share at this time, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Tom Sinkowitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Gary Salzwein. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And no ayes. Ted says aye as he's on his way up. Good to see you again, my friend. All right, thank you all.